Hey guys, what's up? It's Rygar the Destroyer, and today we're going to be taking a look at the 1/6 scale Marmit Stormtrooper. This is a model kit that was released, I believe, around 2000, and as far as quality and sculpt is supposed to be comparable to something similar to like Hot Toys or Sideshow Collectibles, and I've had my eye on one of these for years. I've always wanted to pick one up because they look really nice, and they're also a model kit, so you have the fun of putting them together, which I personally like doing. And this might be because I had built it up in my head for years, but when I got it, I was so disappointed. Honestly, the figure that you're looking at now looks fantastic in my opinion. I don't really have any problems with it, but I do have some problems with the kit itself as it is originally. This one here is custom, I guess you could say. This is not how it would arrive to, or how you would be able to put a kit together just with the kit. So everything in this review, just kind of, if you're looking at it, just know that I had a really bad experience with the kit, and without customizing, it's honestly, it's not very good at all. If you're willing to customize it, you'll have fun with this kit, and I'll kind of explain my problems with it later in the review. But first, let's go ahead and take a look at his packaging. You can see it here. It's quite large. It's got a fairly large window here on the front, which would display the body that comes with the figure and then some of his armor pieces. And then it's got an illustration or a photo, can't quite tell there, it's kind of grainy, of the Stormtrooper there. And then on the side, it's got some more Stormtroopers. And then on the back, it's got some other model kits that they released around the same time. And then it's got a description here. I'll zoom in on it here, and then you can pause the video and just read it. And as you can see here, there is also Japanese on here, or what I'm assuming is Japanese, because this was originally released in Japan, and then a lot of them were imported to the United States. So as far as I'm aware, this had no American release. All of them were imported by like model kit shops, hobby shops, things like that. So fairly standard packaging for this line. So let's go ahead and get back to the figure itself. So mine stands at exactly 12 inches tall, as you can see there, and that's probably about what you should expect on the original body. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about with the original body, here it is. It is really bad, and I knew that going in when I bought the figure. I knew that people disliked the body and that the articulation wasn't the greatest, but I thought, you know, people overreact to things like that all the time. But I can tell you right now that while some people may have some success with this body, it is total garbage. It's made from a very brittle plastic, and that might be because of the age, you could say that, but it's just not very well put together. As you can see, there's these screw holes here in this very brittle plastic, and that's what holds all of the joints together. And this wouldn't be horrible, but there's a step. It's actually the first step of putting it together after putting the jumpsuit on, where you have to squeeze the COD abdominal armor on over the legs. And I was reading the instructions, and as you can see them here, they're in Japanese. I don't speak or read Japanese, but I found a translated version online, and it says heat the armor here because it is made of vinyl. Heat it and then stretch it over the hips here to get the best result. And when I'm trying that, I'm doing it very gingerly, obviously, because this is very brittle plastic, and the hip just snaps. I couldn't believe it. I mean, like, this is like 20 minutes after I've gotten the figure, you know what I mean? And it's already already broken, and I was absolutely furious. I mean, like, when you look at the design of this, for something that you're going to be heating and stretching, that's their, by design, you're heating and stretching something that's very tight fitting over this, and there's just nothing holding these legs on. And I was furious, and because I had spent, a fairly decent amount of money on the kit, I was like, well, I've got to fix it. So I went online, and I'll show you what I bought on Amazon here. I don't know how well it'll show up on camera here, but I bought this narrow shoulder 1/6 scale action figure. It's fairly inexpensive, and its measurements are identical to the one that Marmot put out. And I got it, and it works fantastic for the figure. There are a few parts that are a little bit awkward to put on, but everything fits without basically any modification. The only thing that really needs to be modified is the neck, because there's no head on the body, so you do have to kind of jerry-rig a system for the head there, but I'll talk about how I did that a little bit later. So I've got this new body because the original one that Marmot produced broke, and I was following the instructions like they told me to. So, I was reading more. It says, for the best results, stretch the abdominal codpiece armor on without cutting it, and then if you can't do that, split it here on the side. I split from here to here, and that worked to get it onto this new body, but I was just so disappointed that other one broke. As far as the quality of the actual parts, they're fine. They're vinyl. I think the helmet looks fine. These hands here are not the only ones you get. You get a second set where the forearm armor is a separate piece from the hand, and then you get a trigger finger hand and then a general gripping hand. I could have put these on the figure and they probably would look better, but I just didn't want to bother with articulating them. And this brings me to another problem that I have with this kit. As you can see here, there are ball pegs on the hands and feet, but there are no firm sockets for them to sit in. You just pop them on to the figure like this, and even though that works, that's not a good solution. Just having a pressure fit there is not a good solution for that. And they did the same thing with the hands, the feet, or I guess the ankles, and the head. Even though this looks like it would fit into a ball peg socket, it doesn't. They expect you to use a piece of foam, this piece of foam here, laid on the inside of the helmet, and then that presses onto that ball peg in the head. And that's not a firm solution. That's horrible. If I had known that, I would have been very upset. That's just horrible engineering. They didn't put the thought that I feel like they should have into the figure itself. But I had bought the figure, so I'm going and I'm moving past it. So I came up with some solutions. I should mention he does come with a blaster as well. It looks fine. It's not painted or anything. And I should mention that you don't have to paint anything on this figure. Everything is pre-painted for you, and it looks good. It's very well done. But there are some major problems with the kit. In the head here, to fit it onto the new body, I got a little piece of plastic tubing from work, and I sunk it down over the ball peg of the neck here, and then it fills up to the top of the helmet. And what that does is it maintains the articulation from the body, and that's what I did to get that to work. And then the other modification that I made to the kit itself is these here are supposed to just glue into little slots here on the belt piece. And since this is an action figure and you're meant to pose it, obviously if you've got this glued piece on, that's going to break off immediately as soon as you pose the figure. So what I did is I used a little piece of thread there, glued it onto the back of this pouch, and then glued it up onto the belt. I used white thread and super glue, so it's basically invisible, and that allows these pieces to articulate and move with the body. So overall, what do I think of the kit in unmodified form? Well, I think it's complete garbage, and I would not buy it if you don't plan on modifying it. That being said, if you buy it with the intentions of modifying it, it is great. This armor here is on par with Sideshow Hot Toys. There, are some parts like the wrists here on these gauntlets that aren't articulated, and the ankles aren't articulated, but on a more modern body, the articulation is phenomenal. The armor, sculpt and the helmet sculpt is great. I think it looks better than the Metacom 1/6 scale Stormtrooper. So if you're willing to do some modifications, this can be a really great alternative to those more expensive Sideshow Hot Toys figures. But in unmodified form, it is total crap. They did not put any thought into this kit at all, in my opinion. They rushed it, and therefore it didn't turn out very well. So this is probably the most negative review I've ever done on my channel, and I'm just sorry that it had to be on a figure that I have been so excited to receive for years and years. So if you have any comments or questions, anything about how I modified the body to fit or anything like that, just leave it down in the comments section below, and I guess I'll see you later.